Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here. Recently I took a trip up to southern Ontario in Canada, and I was hanging out with a couple of buddies of mine, Scott, also known as Scott the Canadian, as well as Pete, and they took me to a bunch of various game stores, and this was one of the ones we went to. This is We Got Gamez. I think it's in a city called Ajax. Forgive me if I'm wrong. All these places are in southern Ontario. And the owner, Kamal, who you'll see in a little bit, was a very cool guy, very chill, very inviting to let me film footage in his store and all that. So I decided to go ahead and make a video here, and I thought I'd show you guys some of the displays in case you're ever in the area and you feel like you want to check this place out. Look at that, they got a copy of Xenoblades. Yeah, so of course there's a bunch of amiibos on the wall, there was a Game Boy Advance, and you saw some Wii and Wii U. Look at all the rare Nintendo stuff he keeps up on the top shelf. Look at that, all these multi-controllers from like all over the world, different versions, boxed things like SNES and N64, etc. A lot of cool stuff. He does have your modern things, like there's the PlayStation 4 and there's a PlayStation 3. As well as he's got a significant toy section, actually. A lot of it consists of like sports figures. You know, it's Canada, so of course it's got to have hockey figures everywhere, right? But it also has a lot of Star Wars stuff, which you can see here on the left. Or you will in a second. There you go. All different eras of Star Wars, from the movies, as well as things like New Republic and all that kind of good stuff. A lot of the new Episode 7 stuff was actually in there, which is cool. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, although I don't talk about it nearly as much, obviously, because that's what the channel's about, video games. But yeah, if you are into Star Wars, there's a lot of cool stuff there as well, including some framed Star Wars comics. But yeah, back to video games here. We got a lot of Xbox 360, more PlayStation 3, some boxed Sega stuff. Look at that, Dreamcast, 32X, Sega CD, and the Saturn, all in boxes. There's some more Xbox 360 here as well, but yeah, as well as of course Xbox One. And look at that, TurboGrafx 16 with the turbo booster. Yeah, a lot of cool promotional Nintendo stuff, including Virtual Boy. Now this place is Kamal's definitely more Nintendo centric than he is anything else. Like, look at this, you can see all these different versions of the N64, and he's just got like boxed copies of all these NES and N64 and SNES games. Of course, loose carts of all sorts of things. There's Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, which I end up in my trip. I ended up seeing that at a lot of different stores, but I never see that one at home. It's very rare. But yeah, lots of N64 stuff, as well as you know, like those new controllers for them, third-party controllers. But yeah, as you can see, like I said, it's heavily focused on Nintendo things, but he does have a lot of other stuff. If you look at the prices, I thought the prices were pretty decent, especially as an American, because you have to look at the price and adjust it by about 30%, because that's with the exchange rate what it ends up being here. So for example, you saw Mega Man X, let's just say, for like 75, you take 30% off that, that's what it would cost in USD. So at least at the time I make this video and the time I was up there, that's what the exchange rate is. There's Kamal. Yeah, so again, all sorts of, that's him. Yeah, he said hi, Adam. And yeah, check it out. We got all sorts of great stuff here. More, he's got a bunch of, obviously the games are being displayed up there on the TVs, so you can check them out there. Probably also so he can test merchandise, I'm guessing. A lot of cool NES stuff, like DuckTales 2 is there, Little Samson's there, Action 52, a lot of the rare stuff. And then he was just decided to put down this. He was showing me some of the new inventory he just got in. Lots of cool things here. I wish I knew more about the NES. The NES is definitely super popular amongst people just a few years older than me. Like Pete, who I don't know if you'll end up seeing him in this video. I think you might for just like a brief moment. He like has a full NES set, and I showed it to you guys last year. But yeah, a lot of people up here really love the NES. Some random toys and stuff. A Super Nintendo kiosk that's running Donkey Kong Country. Lots and lots of plushies and more boxed consoles up there. Yeah, all sorts of great stuff. More boxed NES and N64 and Super Nintendo as well. And there's the Power Glove and Game Boy Advance. Yeah, again, here's the Super Nintendo stuff in the box. That's just amazing, actually, just to see that. Boxed N64 all over the place here. More Super Nintendo, Game Boy, you know, all eras. Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Again, N64. He uses the space very well. I have to give him credit for that. Yeah, it's clearly a lot of inventory, and to actually get it all in there in a very clean and organized manner, that's pretty impressive. DS and 3DS, and of course 3DS consoles. GameCube. He has a surprisingly large selection of GameCube stuff, which is nice to see. I don't know about you guys, but I don't see lots of GameCube inventory that often. He's got Wii and Wii U. Yeah, like look at all that GameCube stuff. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I go to a lot of stores, man. And there's Mrs. Claus, my girlfriend. That was Pete briefly there, and there's Scott the Canadian back there. That's his nickname, Scott the Canadian. See? That's him. He's got some of those clone consoles if you're into that, as well as the authentic stuff. And yeah, lots and lots of stuff back here, man. More kiosks, more figures. A lot of the sports figures, lots of amiibos. If you're into that, he's got a lot of them. Dreamcast games, even had Sonic Adventure Limited Edition right there. A lot of rare PS1 games as well. Game Gear stuff. Lots of Sega Genesis, aka Sega Mega Drive if you're outside of North America. Some Sega Master System there. Very cool. A Dreamcast kiosk, which of course I have one of those. You guys can go see a really old video I did on it. Lots of PS1 here. More controllers and all that good stuff. Lots of sports figures again. PSP, I think that's PSP. Sega Master System and 360 there. Giant Pikachu thing happening. Lots more Game Boy and Pikachu or Pokemon stuff. This is all PlayStation 2 and original Xbox. Lots of that stuff. There's just a lot of content in this store, and my initial reaction was just like, holy shit, I don't even know where to start. And so yeah, it kind of, we were in there for quite some time because Kamal's, like I said, he's super friendly. It's a nice store, and yeah, I don't know. There are some stores where you kind of feel compelled to like leave. This was not. This was definitely a store where I felt compelled to just hang out and stay there. Like I could have just hung out with him. He's a super nice dude. But anyway, I'm gonna show you guys the pickups I got.
Really cool store, huh? Kind of suffers from inventory overload. You know what I mean? Like there's so much stuff in there, I didn't even really know where to start. It's kind of a good problem to have, I guess. But after I looked through everything, because of that, I was like, I don't even know where to start. So I ended up only getting one thing because I couldn't pass on it. It was this, Digimon World 4 for the original Xbox. I'm not really a fan of Digimon or anything like that. It's just that this is an original Xbox game. I need it for the collection. I don't see it very often, and when I do, it's usually like $40 to $45 USD. It was the only thing I was wandering around with, and he actually told me, you know what, if you pick that up, because he was asking $40 Canadian, which even that would have been a good deal. But then he was like, if you take it, I'll give it to you for $20 Canadian. Now, with the exchange rate being what it currently is at the time I make this video and when I was up there, that ends up being about $15 USD. So that was actually a really good deal for this game, so I picked it up. Kamal's a hell of a nice guy too. My girlfriend she was looking at this little like plushie of Toad, and he ended up just giving it to her for free. So that was really awesome of him. So there you go, that's my one pickup I got there, and of course the girlfriend got that. But I didn't want to just show you one thing and end the video, no. I want to show you some other stuff. So if you noticed in the video, I was hanging out with not only Mrs. Claus, but I was hanging out with Scott the Canadian as well as Pete. Now Pete, what he does a lot of game trading, and he goes to a lot of game swaps, and he's selling stuff. He's moving a lot of inventory basically. And after we were all done, he said, hey, if you guys want to come back to my house, you can look at my inventory currently. If there's anything you want, I'll cut you a deal. So I was like, all right, sure. So we went back there, and I got a few items. This is what I picked up. First, SSX on Tour for the original Xbox. Killzone Liberation for the PSP. Resistance Retribution for the PSP. And Twisted Metal Head-On for the PSP. But wasn't the end of it. Got a couple of TurboGrafx 16 games. I got TV Sports Hockey in the long box, which I've never actually seen a game with that before. And finally, Alien Crush for the TurboGrafx 16. Like I said, I don't see TurboGrafx 16 stuff that much in the wild. I don't have that much of it, and when I do see it, and if it's cheap, in this case it was, I just pick it up so that you can kind of bolster the collection a bit. I gave him $20 Canadian for the lot. Again, that's like 15 bucks for all this, plus 15 here, so it's like 30 for all this stuff. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. But yeah, and especially because he also gave my girlfriend that plushie, which was amazing. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you look forward to more like this, because I did a lot of game hunting when I was up there. As well as a lot of other things I'll be making videos on, and thank you for bearing with me, because I knew I wasn't really that available in January. I wanted to do a live show while I was up there, but the hotel connection was just wasn't stable enough. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all later.